Welcome back, guys. Jonlar here with another episode of Thought Play, the series where I talk about topics while playing a variety of different games. In this episode, I am playing Ravenfield, and I'm going to be talking about New Year, the New Year, and just sort of any New Year in general. Yeah, I would make a video explaining why I've been gone so long, but I don't really think it's necessary. I've just been busy, and I think most of you understand that. I just never really got around to finding time to make more videos. So, the new year. 2018 is almost here. It seems like just yesterday I was making a video for 2017. It's pretty amazing, and I guess I don't really know what I want to talk about for this, but I think it would be a great topic. I don't want to talk about, memories of the old and, plans for the new year or anything. I just want to talk about New Year's as a thing, if that makes sense. I guess there are just all these different ways that we mark and record and keep track of the progression of time, and one of these things is New Year's. I mean, obviously we keep track of time through everything, seconds, minutes, hours, days, years, and New Year's is, I guess, the mark of, well, a change in years, at least a change in how we number the years. And like, I know that we're based on, the Gregorian calendar, and we're based on certain astrological events and all that, Earth rotating around the sun, but I don't know, it's just weird because there are other ways that we measure time, or the progression of time as well, like seasons. And I know seasons aren't necessarily measurements of time, they're based on weather and temperature and all that, but if you think about it, we kind of do measure time with seasons. Like, seasons are a mark of the progression of the year for us, similar to just how days and weeks and months are. They don't necessarily align up the same way, where we have, 365 days in a year. It's a little different because, we have 4 seasons, but and you have all 4 seasons in each year, but you technically have 2 winters in each year, or half of a winter in each year, which is, I guess, a little weird, and I don't really know where I'm going with this. I'm just sort of thinking as I go. But just, there's all these different ways that we keep track of the progress of time, and I think New Year's is a very significant one because it, I don't know, we measure our lives in years. We talk about our age in years, we talk about our, well, at least at a certain point after we're old enough, we talk about our age in years, we talk about our progression of schooling in years, we talk about how long you've worked in a job, usually in years. All these things are based on years, so the coming of a new year is a very significant, I guess, advancement in our lives, usually, whatever aspect of our lives we are currently dealing with. And I think that is, I guess, the most significant part of the new year. Because if you think about it, the new year isn't really that big of a deal. When you look beyond the calendar, and the fact that the calendar year is changing, it's really just another, one day into another in the middle of winter. It's the changing from December to January again, and it's this time that we've, selected through, calendars and the way that we keep track of time that way that, it's considered the new year, but it's really just a day like any other. It's not based on any, it's just another, transition between days. Your birthday, for example, is a significant day. It's a significant way to measure years because it's based on the reference point of the day you were born. It's 1 year since the day you were born. It's 2 years since the day you were born. It's however many years, 20, 30, 40, 50, 80 years since the day you were born. It has significance rather than the new year, where it's just, hey, the Gregorian calendar says another 365 days have passed, so it's a new year. it doesn't have the same significance. So when you hear about people making New Year's resolutions, I shouldn't even say hear about people, like 50% of people, I think I heard somewhere, make or attempt to make New Year's resolutions. That's a lot of people. If you think, somewhere around half of all the people that follow the, 365-day calendar try to make New Year's resolutions. That's a lot of people. But why are they making resolutions on New Year's? What is the real significance behind that day as a day that's transitioning from the old to the new? Why is that the day that you're going to tell yourself, I am going to be, more fit for the next year. I am going to try and, focus more on my schooling for the next year. Why is that the point at which you make those changes? Why not base, where you start working on those resolutions off of a more significant reference point in time, as such as your birthday, when that's 1 year, however many years after you were born. That seems to make more sense to me as a time to make a resolution, or say the beginning of a new school year or a new work season, like you just got off of a break or something. It just seems to make more sense to me that you use those reference points as places to set goals for yourself and try to improve your life. It just, I don't know, it's something that always has sort of, at least since I've been able to think about it, sort of bothered me almost about New Year's. It's like, what real significance does it hold? I mean, there are religious holidays and all these other holidays that have, backgrounds that are based off of different, doctrines or history or, stories that have come down through time. Who knows? But New Year's is just one of those things where it's just another, it's just a progression of time. It's just where we change, a 17 to an 18. I keep saying a lot of ums. I need to try and get over that. I'm rusty with the talking, but it's this concept of time progressing from this point, this New Year's point, that just it seems almost illogical to me. I get that, you have, say, the day, which, progresses in a bit of cycle with day and night, regularly, to an extent, lines up with day and night, because every day you're going to have day and night in a normal area. I mean, obviously, if you get up to the North Pole or South Pole, it gets a little wonky, but generally, in most places, a day has, consists of day and night. But a year, I mean, while a year does, it's counting one rotation around the sun, approximately, at least. I think the real number is like 365.25 or something. It's a little off from 365 days. Did I say 200? I might have said 200. I can't remember. If I said 200, I meant 300. You all know that. But while the year is a reference point of, one rotation around the sun, that isn't something that we really actively take note of in our everyday lives. Obviously when it comes to scientific purposes, whether, astronomy, other things like that, there are, there's greater meaning to that, the rotation around the sun. But it seems like in our everyday lives, while it's interesting to think about and interesting to use as a reference point, I just don't get the significance. We make it such a big, important deal, a holiday that is celebrated like crazy around a large part of the world, and other parts of the world at other times. It just, I don't know. Same thing I've been saying this whole time. It just confuses me, or not confuses me, but it makes me wonder why do we celebrate it? I wonder where those celebrations go back to. I really don't know. I'd have to do research to find out, but it makes me wonder, because it just seems like such a strange thing to celebrate. It's like, we don't celebrate the changing of seconds. Sure, that would be too often, but we just don't. We don't celebrate the change of day, not really. We don't celebrate, monthly, we don't, oh, new month, WoW, or and even to an effect, we don't usually celebrate the change in seasons, but we celebrate our birthday, which is a change in year, and that I think makes sense. It's a reasonable reference point to celebrate. But then we celebrate New Year's, which just doesn't seem to make sense. I'd like to hear what you think if you're still listening to me. What is this, 10 minutes into my rant on New Year's and time and the progression of time and all that. But what do you guys think? Does it make sense to celebrate on New Year's? Why do you think it makes sense to celebrate New Year's as a thing at the time that we choose to? That's more specifically a thing. We celebrate New Year's at a specific time, which I guess because it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's constant. It's this shared New Year's, I guess, that everybody has the same reference point on, rather than birthday, where everybody's, or most people's, are going to be a little different. But it just, I don't know, it seems weird that we celebrate it, at least to the extent that we do, because, well, yeah, I don't know why. I would say because, but that's the whole point I've been trying to make so far, is that I'm not sure. Why do we celebrate New Year's? I have nothing against celebrating New Year's. New Year's is fun, but it's a little confusing to me. And I guess on a similar note, I kind of like having that, that new year perspective. You hit that point in the middle of, say, your school year where you can almost sort of start anew. You've progressed into the next year where so many new things are going to happen, and I guess you can try to set resolutions and get past the old ones, but I guess it's just the element of time, when it happens, why it happens, that throws me off a bit. It's just a day that we use to collectively celebrate a new year. And honestly, I think I've made my point. For the past probably like 3 minutes, I've just been repeating myself over and over again, so I'm going to cut it off here. But I don't know, I just find it interesting. So I'd like to hear what you guys think. What do you think about the new year and how it's all lined up? Leave a comment, and if you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next time.
Shut up, John.